Hello and welcome, Sophia. Can you introduce yourself and kind of your spiritual background?
Sure. So I'm Sophia. I'm a registered nurse and I consider myself a root cause practitioner and detox coach now. I grew up in the Ukrainian church, so I was very religious growing up and I took myself away from the church maybe about 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more. It was like a slow thing until it became fast. And then I didn't really believe in anything for a few years there, and then I had this spiritual awakening in, like, 2021, 22, and now I employ a little bit of Christianity, a little bit of each book. I think there's truth in all religions,
Yeah.
but I believe, like, I mostly believe in spirituality and, like, some people might call it witchcraft. I call it intention, really. Like, just think about the positive things that you would like to go on in your day, like mindset hacks or positive habits for your mind. Yeah, just like everyday spirituality. Since my spiritual awakening, I've self taught myself astrology and tarot reading. I really love tarot cards. And a big part of spirituality for me is intuition and discernment and using that to make your decisions every day consciously. And that's something that I teach my clients as well is like, how do you know that this is true and that's false in this like crazy age of misinformation, disinformation?
Yeah.
Is like learning to what your intuition says and what that is discerning for you and like what decisions you should be making. So that's how I use tarot. Tarot freaks people out sometimes. They say you access bad things, but for me, it's an extension of my intuition, basically.
I totally agree. Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's great parts to all religions. We should take the best ones and make it our own. And yeah, loving them all. There's the golden rule, which is, do unto others as you would wish to be done unto yourself. And
Hmm.
that's in all the religions, I think. And so, where did
Yeah.
I meet you? Where did you meet me?
We messaged online. You messaged me and you said, "Hey, are you here for the memes?" And I said, "Not just the memes." And then we did a little exchange of services and then we found out that we actually have a lot in common. We kind of have this yin yang thing going. You're a Cancer sun, Aries rising, and I'm an Aries sun, Cancer rising. So works that way.
Nice. And so before the session, tell us a little bit about kind of what you were struggling with, your situation. And that's, one of the reasons you wanted to do it. There's a lot of different reasons, but it's
Yeah.
a little about that.
I'm trying to list the most important ones. There was a lot and still a lot that I'm working through, but I would say like financial issues, there was a financial block probably within me, a lot of trauma. I worked on the COVID units. I saw a lot there. And then I found out a lot of truth after that. That really traumatized me. I also, with the financial issues, I was laid off and lost several $1,000s and have been recovering ever since. And now, with establishing my career as an entrepreneur and natural healer, it's been a lot about like managing myself and healing myself before I can heal others. Like you can't pour from an empty cup kind of a thing. And that comes in waves. Like some days I feel great and I'm like managing everything perfectly. And then some days I'm crumbling. So more it's finding the consistency and grounding myself and figuring out how my patterns are influencing mainly my relationship with money is like one of my concerns. Yeah.
And yeah, tell us a little bit about your past life regression experience and how that might have related to what you were struggling with.
Yeah, let me think. I know one of them that, like I know we were gonna talk about this in a little bit, so maybe I'll keep the details at bay, but there was one that was really interesting where I was some famous actress, and I met someone really important who apparently had a lot of, like, inventions and things like that were important in the science world, and, like, personally for me, there was a lot of meanings and connections that came from this past life regression, but for that one, it confirmed this, like, love for science and information and wisdom for me that, like, "No, Sophia, you're not crazy, that you wanna know everything, and there is always deeper answer to everything. And we still don't even fully understand that past life. And I would like to go further and deeper into that one. But that one, it also, I think, related to like when I started speaking out during COVID and I was like, hey, here's some natural ways to heal things, and I got censored online, kind of like blocked my throat chakra, and there's a lot of hidden information with like that person that I was saying that had all those scientific experiments who was kind of like censored by big organizations and stuff like that. But yeah, and then another thing, like kind of touching on the pouring from an empty cup idea, I discovered that I was a cobbler in, I'm not even sure what era that would have been in, but the floor was dirt. So it like probably centuries ago, maybe at least a couple centuries ago. And it was a cobbler, and he was like the town therapist that everybody would come to. And he seemed very healed and like he was able to maintain composure and separate himself from people. But it was like when I was accessing this information, I found out that he might have saved a little girl from being kidnapped or something like that, or he made a very rash or not like just a quick intuitive decision to save this girl from some man who may have like stolen her or kidnapped her. And I found that I was getting so emotional just like seeing this little girl's face. And it took me a while to figure out what actually happened. And I didn't see what happened. I was feeling what happened and almost guessing intuitively. And yeah, it kind of made me touch on like how much I give to people, like what kind of boundaries should I be setting. There was a few other connections with that one as well. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, and you were able to go deep and really, be open to the process. And so since the session, what's changed? What problems have disappeared or improved, and how do you feel since then?
Well, I'm definitely the financial, like I didn't even really mention the financial aspects in the past life regressions, but I have been attracting more clients, but obviously that comes from like inner work and like what you're attracting around you. So some of the inner work I've been doing is like trying to heal my relationship with money, with myself, with my trauma. And I have been like the financial aspect is increasing slowly, but I have faith that it'll come eventually. What was the other thing? Just trauma work in general. And like that cobbler instance, I think it really relates to my healing work and like be
Everyone
aware.
else, what does cobbler mean? Can you say that
Like
different?
a shoemaker or
Okay,
something, like,
shoemaker.
who did something like that, yeah. Yeah, he looked like he fixed shoes or, like, sh not maybe not a shoe shiner, but something like that.
Well, it was
Um
interesting, the money thing, because you mentioned the past life where you were a really wealthy actress with a really lavish apartment. You described it as like decorations and really expensive things.
like, marble floors and, like, really expensive paintings and, like yeah, and she was, like, a really well-known actress in France, I think it was. France? Yeah, Paris, France, and she was wearing these, like, really, like, there was a frilly purple dress that I saw. She had this, like, curly orange hair, so,
Yeah.
yeah, she looked very done up, and then I looked her up afterwards. I didn't even know her name in the moment, but I think I was looking well, the inventor was Nikola Tesla. Apparently, they had some kind of a connection, which I'm not 100% sure what it was. It seemed like they were pretty close, and he was in her apartment at one point and that like really lavish apartment. So yeah, there's some kind of interesting like maybe I'm used to feeling like money keeps me afloat and helps me survive and maybe this lifetime is teaching me how to not have that survival mechanism depending on my financial situation and how to let go. Yeah, it's funny because growing up I've always like even as a kid I was a saver. Like everything I took I'd like put in my savings account. I was really good at doing that. And it's just always been this like underlying almost money anxiety, but I was like good with money for that reason. So
Mm.
it's almost like I was intuitive knowing that my Saturn return was going to be really hard financially. So, yeah.
What was it like for you? Was it more of a knowing, a feeling, or a visions? How did you received the information?
It was more initially it was a vision of like I would see either what I looked like or an image of a place that I would go to often. Like I think that French actress, the first thing that appeared to me was a meadow, I think, and an apple tree, like a meadow full of flowers. So I think that might have been somewhere that she's been before. Maybe she filmed a movie there or something. I'm not 100% sure. But it would come as a vision first, and then I received an image of her separately with the big purple frilly dress that made it seem like she was very wealthy. And then mostly after that I would get feelings. But yeah. Yeah. Now I've been working a lot on like my intuition and like clearing and detoxing. So now I'm wondering if like the visions would be a little bit more clearer when we go in a second time. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we can definitely do a deeper dive. I have done that before with people. Sometimes it's good to do these every several months. It's good to integrate what you've learned, though.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
and so unexpected results or additional benefits. Was there something that came up that just was unexpected that changed, or what? What would you say?
I guess it was unexpected that like this isn't like results, but it was unexpected that like I try to be very humble. And I remember the first thing that I said when I saw the character was he kind of looks like Nikola Tesla, but like I don't know, like it could just be a guy in a suit. So and then when I looked up the lady that I saw, I came across an article that said that Sarah Bernhardt and Nikola Tesla came across each other on like a corner of a cafe or something like that and on a sidewalk in Paris. And like so that was a little bit surprising and like almost like, if I apply that to my own life, I think it's kind of like you and I were just talking about this earlier, like how we kind of surprise ourselves with our like abilities, and it takes someone else to tell us, like, hey, you have a lot of knowledge or something. And I'll be like, I do? Like, you have a lot of like talent, maybe, is what somebody told Sarah Bernhardt, that actress. And like, and maybe that's how she got to know Nikola Tesla. And like, yeah, so just the ego part and like being humble was really interesting. But another regression, I'm trying to figure out how much I want to share of this one because it's a really weird one. I was a violent character. I was somebody that I don't even know how much I want to share. There was a dark past with this person. They had a very dark career that they had to do for money, actually. Here's another connection to money. Having to do things for money, and it impacted like his relationship with his wife and kids. He would take that home with him.
Hmm.
And that really made me feel into how I was during COVID. And even before COVID, I was working as a registered nurse for a year before that, of like all of these things, like these pills that I was feeding people. Like, we don't even know what's happening. Like, there's just so much information, and discovering later with all the information that I traumatized myself with when I was researching at home was like, oh, I was carrying a lot and had to like detach myself from that. And like I made money there, and but I had to detach myself from the money and from the trauma that then the darkness that created, like in my life and in everybody's life around me and my patients. So yeah, maybe that was just a very clear image of like a version of darkness and trauma and how that may impact someone in their line of work when they have to do it for financial reasons. And now seeing like how like I do not have financial stability yet, but being detached from that, realizing like, oh, well, there's other things to life rather than just darkness and money. At least you have the money to survive, but like, what is the survival? Is it a good life? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and they say self-discovery is a powerful way to learn new things. And if someone just tells you to save money or go to sleep earlier, it's just. But when the universe gives you those signs and symbols, it's very elegantly the way it teaches us.
Yeah, and that one was, like, one that I've seen in a third eye vision before, so I was, like, not surprised that it came out during that regression. It was an intense one.
Yeah, that's right. So sometimes I can guide us to scenes or deja vu moments, or if someone can remember a past life from a dream, I can guide them into it to do a deeper dive, which we might do in a future session with you. And
Yeah, that'd
so,
be really
If someone's on the fence about this, like they're not sure, first of all, let me ask you, do you need to believe in this, like reincarnation, for it to work?
I don't think so. Like I think you also believe that past lives are not really past lives. Like time is an illusion and everything is happening at the same time. But even if you don't believe in that, it's like really, if you just look at it objectively and you're thinking, well, I'm being shown this like vision or this pretend life or whatever. It's like energy coming from or your subconscious. So if you don't believe in any of it, just look at it as like a movie screen of like your subconscious is showing you something that you need to see, and just try to journal it like the same way you would in like English or like language arts in school. Like, what does this movie like, what are the themes of this movie have to do with your own life? And just kind of like, it's about taking accountability for your own thoughts and subconscious and like integrating it in life, basically.
Yeah, very nice. And so if someone was struggling with similar or different issues and they were thinking about doing this and they're on the fence, what would you tell them?
I would say do it. It's very, if you're feeling like you can't trust someone, for example, you can trust Jonathan wholeheartedly. I felt like I honestly, with PTSD and all of the stuff that I've gone through, like I have a lot of trauma. I was very worried, but then you and I had that introduction call and everything felt totally fine. And I even just voiced out loud to you, I felt like I wanted to cancel today. Like that was just my trauma brain was like making me freak out and have anxiety. And you're like, well, we can cancel if you want. And I was like, no, I don't want that. And then, yeah, and then the session went great. I was bawling in my chair, but I felt fully comfortable. And yeah, you're really good at guiding through. Like, if we ever got to a point that felt like, okay, we're just at the emotions now, you were able to kind of back out, ease the emotions, and redirect into something that was a little more useful at the time. Yeah. Yeah. You're really good at helping people feel comfortable. And your voice is it brings peace.
Thank you. Thank you. So heartfelt. And I any final thoughts? Any final words to anyone out there? Is any final thoughts about me or the session or this in general? Or your experience? Anything?
Final thoughts. I just wasn't really exposed to hypnotherapy at all. Like, I think my only exposure really in my family was somebody used it for sleep apnea to try and stop it. So I honestly had no idea what like different types of hypnotherapy there were. I was aware of past lives. I didn't know that we were able to access past lives through hypnotherapy like this. I think it's really interesting, and I my mind likes to find out new information. And so if you're ever like interested in a very new, well, I don't know if it's new, but if you're interested in a new aspect of spirituality or like working on yourself for yourself, I think this is a very good avenue because it's so open and it can be whatever you want it to be, because and you help us, Jonathan, to make like a list of intentions and questions of things we want to dive into, because it's really like journaling work with your subconscious, and then your subconscious shows you things. So I think it's really interesting. It goes wherever it needs to go, basically. So
Very, yeah, very elegantly said. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sophia.
yeah, of course.